Okay, welcome back to Ox Tools. I'm Tom. So we've been working on this little bracket for a saw tensioner for a little vertical bandsaw, and the casting broke. So we've been working on repairing that. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you a way to create this radius on a manual milling machine. This is kind of a unique setup here because it's got this boss and this radius is interrupted here. But we can still do a pretty good job of machining that radius accurately using kind of an old-timey toolmaker technique. This is kind of predates CNC work, but the principles are very similar. You may have heard of a term called Kellering, and this is a kind of a stair-step method of producing curves and angled surfaces, and by incrementally stepping down these surfaces. So where this comes from is this is a little chart or a little book that somebody gave me a long time ago. It's kind of neat. Got a bunch of different tables in it. But the general idea here is that you use this ball end mill and you step down the radius incrementally to produce that curvature. And I've used it before and it works pretty good. And you can go in as fine increments as you like and basically produce a mirror finish if you wanted to. It would take you a while, but you could produce a really fine finish. So there's different examples here of how you can use that, and then there's tables of the steps. Typically, they're using a 5-degree steps here, which is pretty good. With a ball end mill that gives you just a small little kind of hump that you can file off or not file off. Anyway, so that's a technique we're going to use. Although we're not going to use this chart, we're going to lay out this part just quickly in AutoCAD, and this will allow me to pluck off the coordinates directly and connect them to this geometry a little bit better. And you'll see it doesn't take very long to do it. And then I can just go right down to the milling machine and start machining that radius. So let's just get started here. Okay, so we're going to start a new drawing here. This is just a template that I have, and standard template. So I have my drawing that I started with. This is my little chicken sketch here. And so what I'm going to do is I'll just do a quick end view of that radius. Okay, so I'm going to draw a circle right there, diameter, and it's 0.6. Okay, so let me zoom in, and I know it has a because I just drilled it. It has a 5/16 hole in the middle. Okay, there's my 5/16 hole. Okay, so now this is basically what we're doing is we're kind of looking right at that right now, okay? And we're going to use a ball end mill. And I looked at my ball end mills, and I have a nice 1/8 ball end mill that'll work for this. So I'm just going to sharpen that a little bit, okay? So I'm going to draw a line up here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a circle that's equal to the diameter of the ball end mill here. So what I want to do is, obviously it's not going to cut like that, so I'm going to take this circle and I'm going to move that up to there so that those two okay, looks like I moved it incorrectly there, so let me move it again here. Okay, so now those are tangent. Okay, this simulation of the ball end mill and this curve, they're tangent. So what I'm going to do is basically what I want to do is just kind of step that down the side. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'll use the same as the book, 5-degree increments. So I'm going to do what's called an array, and it'll be a polar array. And I'll pick the object, and then I'm going to pick the center point, which is the center of this circle. And so 5-degree steps, I'm going to do 90 degrees. So there's 90 degrees. 90 divided by 5 is 18, so that's 18 steps. And we're going to say okay, and there it goes. So those are the positions of that ball end mill as we increment down the side. Now you can see if we zoom in on this, we're going to zoom in here. You see there's a little, let's see, let me get really close because I don't know how this looks on the video here. You see there's this little, what do we call it, a little triangle here, this little leftover piece that doesn't get cut. Now you look at that and you go, oh boy, that's a big ridge there, but let's measure it just for fun. And so I'm going to draw a line from the center of this circle to that intersection, okay, and I'll zoom out so you can see that. All right, so we're going to measure the height. We're going to measure the height of that that little leftover piece. Okay, so I'm going to take a measurement, and it's going to go from there to there. And then if I look down at the command line here, that's just shy of 2 thousandths of an inch. So that's 2 thousandths of an inch right there, which is, in the scheme of this thing, this is nothing. Okay, so we can file that off if we don't like the look of it. It's probably not worth going to a smaller increment to get rid of that. So let's get rid of that. Okay. Now, one problem here is this is pretty busy, and what I need to know to dimension this so that I can just go right to my milling machine and take those off is what I just want to know where the center points of those are. Okay, but it's kind of hard to dimension all that mess there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo that array. Let's get rid of most of this. Okay, and that one's going to go too. So what I'll do is I'm just going to draw an itty bitty little circle in the middle of that. Let's see, let's try 15 thousandths. Okay. And let's array that little guy. Okay, so we're going to go to array, select the objects there, and my center point hasn't changed, same thing. So okay, so that's a little friendlier. Is that actually 15 thousandths? Let's check that. Oh, no, 15 thousandths radius. Okay, so let's undo all that. Okay. I must have typed it wrong. Okay, diameter 0.015. Okay, that's better. Alright, so let's array, select object, that little guy, 18, 90 degrees, we're good. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to shift the dimension to make it smaller because this is going to get pretty crowded. And what I want to do is I want to make this y0 and this z0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the AutoCAD that that's what I want. Yes, and I'm going to tell it that that's the origin that I care about is right there. Okay, so now let's pull a couple of dimensions just for fun, and we'll look at it. I'm not going to show you all the dimensioning. Okay, so that says 0. Pick that, and that says 0. Okay. Actually, you know what? I think I want the center of that to be. Yeah, I think I want the center of that to be 0. Let's get rid of that. Origin. I think I want the center of that. Yeah, that'll work. Because once I touch off, it doesn't really matter. It's still 0. Okay. So now if I keep dimensioning that, so that first cut is down 2 thousandths in Z and over 33 thousandths in Y. Okay, you see that? So let's dimension a couple more here just for grab the center of that. So the next one is down 6 thousandths and over 67 thousandths. So now I'm developing my roadmap here, so I can just go with my ball end mill and land on these numbers and take a pass, you know, along the part here with my ball end mill, and now that'll produce that radius because that is always tangent with that curve. So now this technique works too if you wanted to just do an angled surface also. So as long as your ball end mill stays tangent to that surface, it will produce that tangent surface. So now we got another little complication that makes it even more interesting here is we got this little boss here that interrupts this radius across here. So what we want to do is, yeah, we want to come across with our ball end mill, but we don't want to chew that boss out of there, right? So we want to stop against that boss each time. So what we're going to need is we're going to need a position from here up to the boss for each one of these passes. Sounds a little complicated, but you think about it a little bit, and it's actually pretty easy. So we're gonna come over here and create another little sketch, and we know that surface is there. So I'm just gonna draw a line here to trim that off. Okay, and from my chicken sketch, I know that that boss is 1.25 inches from that end, and I know the diameter. So I'm going to do a offset 1.25. Almost put a line over there like that. Oop, that's way over there, huh? And all right. So, and then that circle or that boss is 0.6 down from the top surface there. All right, yeah, 0.6. Okay, so we're going to go down there. Okay, so the center of that boss is right there. Okay, and the diameter of it is, because I just turned that, is 940. Okay, weep. All right, and it's got a hole through the middle of it that's 590. And I don't really need the center hole, but it just let me clean this up a little bit. Get rid of that line, and so we'll go ahead and we'll draw the other side of this just so to keep us in reference here. Offset 2.475. Okay, we'll shoot that over there, and then we'll go ahead and connect those two. And we'll connect those two like that. Okay, so that's actually a center line. I'll make that a center line just to keep track of it. Okay, all right. So now what we're gonna do here is so some of this we can go right by, right? We can go right by this boss, and it's going to be fine. But at some point, we're going to start intersecting that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to draw my. Actually, I'm just going to copy that little guy and bring it over here, and then I'm going to move it into position by picking that quadrant, and then I want that there. Okay, so that's my ball end mill, and that's where it intersects. It intersects that little boss there. You can see that this is this is a pretty powerful analysis tool here. You can create some geometry. Now you can do this all on the drafting board too, and that's what the old time guys did. This is AutoCAD keeps track of 16 decimal places, so this is very accurate if you want it to be. So let's just draw a line from here over here and see which hole it gets close to. So these are our increments coming down the side, and there's slide over. Let me zoom out, that'll be easier. So there's our increments coming down the side, and there's where this starts to intersect that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that, and it's kind of going in between two of those. So I think what I want to do is I want to move that up just a little bit so I don't cut the boss. or I don't eat any of the boss away. So I'm going to pick that one there, that increment. And I'm going to come over here. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this. The center of that is going to go there. So you see there's a little space there now. Let's get rid of that line because it's confusing. And so now we got these kind of tied in lockstep to one another. So all these passes here, and including that one, will go by the boss. It'll pass that boss. And then all these guys here will stop against the boss. Does that make sense? So our end mill is going to come up. Our end mill is going to come up like this and stop against this boss, but it stops in a different place depending on where it's intersecting that curve now. So now we have a three-dimensional thing here. So our end mill's coming along here and we're stopping there, and we come out, we drop down, and we stop, and we stop, and we stop, and we stop. So then we won't chew away that boss. So, this is all like real simple Simon stuff on a CNC, but not so much manually. Okay, so now let's go back over here, and so we're just going to hold that end mill off of that boss by that little amount there, which is, what is that? That is 11 thousandths. Okay. All right, which is nothing. I mean, it's going to look fine, and there'll be a little radius intersection now into that boss. So let's do this again. We're going to put a circle there. Diameter 0.015 worked pretty good last time, and then we're going to array that little guy. And then the center point is going to be that 18 spots. Sure, that'll work. And then center, and there's those points. Let's see, is that right? Yeah, that's right. Oh, you know what? Those aren't tied together now. So I need to do this a little differently here, because they need to be tied to this geometry here. Let's see if that works. Let me draw a line from there. Yeah, that doesn't intersect that. Okay, so what that means is I have to connect it, because this is where the end mill will be, and where I care about it is where it stops over here. So okay, all right, so let's back up here. I had to think about that for a second. Okay, so that's our first one, and so that's the last one that passes there, and then the next one will be right there, and we'll come over here. And what I care about is, let's see, how do I, all right. All right, let's bring a couple lines over here. All right, so what I want is I want a circle that's, oh, there we go, that's how you do that. Okay, so we're going to do a circle there, and it's going to have that radius. All right, and the center point is going to land on that. Okay, so this is going to get a little busy here for a second here. So we're going to draw another circle that goes to that. Okay, so that all the center points lie on that circle, and where it intersects these lines now is going to be our coordinates. Okay, so we're just going to copy that in this center of that, so we'll go there. Okay, see what I'm doing now? So I'm going to copy that center, boom. Okay, so now they intersect that, and they intersect these positions here. So let's do one more just so you guys can watch that. Okay, so I'm just going to drag that across. I don't even care where it goes. All I care about is that little intersection where that's going to be. So I'm going to copy that again, and I'm just going to move it down there. Okay, so that's my end mill positions, my stop positions. Okay, so if I take a dimension from here to there, that's my first stop position, and then my next stop position is there. Okay, so I can dimension all those around that corner down there. Okay, and then get rid of all this mess so that I can see what the heck I'm doing there. So let me erase that. I don't really need that. Okay, and let's make that a center so we can kind of keep track of that. And oops, what I want is the line scale. I'm going to change the line scale. Let's do 0.1. There we go. That's better. Okay, so anyway, and that's how we're going to do that. So that gives me my stop positions from here. So I pick this up. I could also do it from the center, which I might do. That way I can do both sides at the same time. And that's how you create, you know, a curved geometry like this using this technique, but on our specific geometry. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and dimension all this stuff and take it down to the shop, and then we'll shoot some more video down there.